So this is Coach Denny Green. He's having a pretty bad night. Despite getting off to a very hot start, his Arizona Cardinals have just given up a 20-point lead to lose on Monday Night Football against an undefeated Chicago Bears team that looks destined for the Super Bowl. What comes next is a 45-second rant that will change Green's career and legacy forever. You've probably seen it. Green, punching microphones and shouting cryptic laments, managed to become a meme in the football world before memes were even a thing. But as easy as it would be to just clown on Denny Green here,
she thought she was.
There's more to this story than just an angry coach. A lot more. So let's take a closer look at this meltdown, the game that preceded it, and hopefully find out once and for all if Coach Denny Green truly is... So, where are we? When are we? We gotta go all the way back to October 16th, 2006. It's Monday Night Football, and tonight we're in for a treat of a matchup, the Chicago Bears versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, normally, the Cards aren't really a cause for excitement, but they've got a ton of buzz surrounding them this season because of this guy, two-time Heisman and national title winner, Matt Leinart. Leinert's been seen as a can't-miss QB prospect who's come up just shy of a Rose Bowl victory against a divinely ordained Vince Young and the Texas Longhorns. But experts agreed Leinart could hardly be blamed for that loss, as no one was beating Vince Young once he decided he ought to go win the game finally. After Leinart fell several spots lower than you'd expect for a Heisman double champion quarterback, he was scooped up by Arizona with the 10th pick. Not that I think it's really germane to this story, but I think it's worth mentioning that in the 2007 offseason, Leinart would inexplicably be hired by ESPN The Magazine and given the assignment to ask NFL coaches point blank and on the record why each coach didn't draft him. The whole article is insane. The best part is how effectively they managed to translate the sheer awkwardness of Leinart's interviews with these coaches. Leinart, perhaps not understand there's more to writing a story than just copy-pasting other people's words, turned in verbatim transcripts of his conversations with 6 head coaches, none of whom totally understand what's going on, but all of whom know they don't like it. Highlights include Jeff Fisher revealing a coin toss convinced him to pick Vince Young over Matt Leinart, Ken Wisenhunt being skeptical of his own QB's workout routine, and Lane Kiffin emphatically telling Leinart, stick to quarterbacking. Anyway, in the weeks leading up to the Monday night matchup, Leinart hadn't so much won the starting spot as the aging Kurt Warner had lost it, but in the start the previous week, Leinart had played well, and they'd come up just short of beating the Chiefs. Fans and pundits alike were still really excited to have him behind center. The Cardinals' opponents for the contest were their polar opposites in more ways than one. While the Cardinals played in the brand new University of Phoenix Stadium in the balmy, sun-kissed Glendale, the Chicago Bears, on the other hand, played in the cold and unforgiving gridiron that was Soldier Field, literally the oldest stadium in football. And while the Cardinals frequently saw losing records and missed playoff appearances, the Bears have been kicking ass in the National Football League since there was a National Football League within which asses could be kicked.
Mars takes a short pass and totes it all over the field as he freezes by one Ram after another. It's one of the most exciting plays of 1958 as Chicago threatens.
And this season, they're primed to kick everyone's asses, marching into Glendale with a 5-0 record. Anchored by linebacker duo Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs, the 2006 Bears were earning themselves a ton of Super Bowl hype, giving up the fewest points in the league at the time and employing an offense that, while at times could look shaky, had also put up outstanding numbers to keep the Bears undefeated on their path down to the University of Phoenix Stadium. Hell, even the Cardinals newspaper was counting them out. Of course, when I say the Bears were undefeated, I'll admit I wasn't counting the preseason, because no one counts the preseason. It's right there in the name. But as it turns out, the Bears actually had lost their Week 3 preseason game in Soldier Field. And who had they lost that contest to? Let's just see. Oh, the Arizona Cardinals. When asked about the loss in the week leading up to the Monday night matchup, Bears head coach Lovie Smith was about as dismissive as you could get.
This is the first time we would have played them, as I see it. The preseason games are important. They're glorified practices to me.
Well, you know who didn't see that preseason game as a glorified practice? You guessed it, Denny Green. Hired 2 seasons ago by Arizona after resigning as head coach of the Vikings, there were high hopes that Green would be the guy to turn around the Cardinals franchise, especially after the last guy didn't work out. Or the guy before him. Or the guy before him. Or the guy before him. Honestly, I could keep this bit going until about 1948. And since he got here, he's made some pretty good moves, acquiring veteran QB Kurt Warner, Pro Bowl running back Edgerrin James, and drafting generational talent like Larry Fitzgerald, who, by the way, has known Coach Green since he was 8 years old. as well as the aforementioned Matt Leinart. But despite the savvy picks, Green's Cardinals haven't really put up many W's, going 6-10 in their first season and then declining to 5-11 the next. But on a warm August evening at Soldier Field, Green starters played the Bears starters for 3 quarters and went on to win the game. And that, combined with the nail-biter they'd lost the week before, made this Cardinals team feel like they were being taken lightly and were maybe more dangerous than people realized.
We struggled out of the gate. We really felt like we had a lot of games slip away from us, and we were really frustrated. And everybody was talking about how this was going to be a non-competitive Monday Night Football game, and we took that to heart.
Cardinals set out to prove just that by forcing an opening 3-and-out, then driving down the field for a touchdown. And once the Bears took over on offense, they would soon be in for a rude awakening, learning 2 cold, incontrovertible facts that would make the ensuing 60 minutes a nightmare for Bears fans. 1, the Cardinals' defense was much faster, stronger, and more explosive than their record reflects. And 2, their quarterback is Rex Grossman. Yes, I think it's about time we talked about the man that was Rex Grossman. Drafted out of Florida, Rex Grossman was a QB in the Brett Favre mold, which is to say he misheard the old Woody Hayes line about throwing the football. When you throw the football, only 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are rad. Standing just 6'1", Grossman wasn't the biggest or the strongest QB. He wasn't the most agile, he didn't have the best understanding of the pocket, he didn't read defenses all that well, he was prone to turnovers, and he had consistency issues throughout his entire pro career. But what he could do was throw the ever-loving snot out of a football. When the Bears were rolling, they were a juggernaut, with Grossman putting up insane numbers that earned him the nickname Sexy Rexy. But then there would be games where it looked like Grossman had licensed his name and likeness to his less talented younger brother like Gallagher did in the early 90s. And much like Gallagher too, when this version of Grossman was on the field, fans were heading for the exits. The first quarter saw Grossman throw the ball away to cornerback Aaron Francisco on a horribly inaccurate deep pass to Musa Muhammad. With Muhammad running a post route, the ball would have been totally safe, and Muhammad probably would have snagged it had he thrown it anywhere on this side of the field. The only place where it could have been picked off is right where he threw it. Chef's kiss, Rex. The next quarter, Grossman throws this ball, which, leave a comment below if you can tell me what Bears receiver that was intended for, because I have no friggin' clue. And as if that weren't bad enough, he's also taken a lot of hits, and not doing a great job of protecting the football either. There's turnover number 3, and here's turnover number 4, number 5, number 6. And yet, with this absolute liability that Grossman has become on offense, the Cardinals have only managed to put up 20 first-half points, despite a staggering 4 turnovers. So what's kept the Bears in this game? Well, the defense has been working hard to bend but not break, and the Cards have been held to field goals ever since their first quarter scoring explosion. The time is running out, and while field goals aren't touchdowns, the Cardinals are maintaining their lead, which, after nearly 3 quarters of football, is still 20. With less than 12 minutes left to play, the Bears are going to need to find points from somewhere other than their offense. Allow me to introduce to you Mark Anderson, Tommy Harris, Tank Johnson, and Alex Brown. They will be your executioners tonight. The Cardinals' O-line has been working overtime to keep these guys at bay, and with 8 seconds left in the third quarter, backup right tackle Oliver Ross gets a little confused on his assignment.
After the 15, he's hit from behind. Mark Anderson, the hit, the scoop and score for Mike Brown. The Bears get back in it.
They banking on us turning the ball over. That's all they're working on.
23-10, Cardinals lead.
Okay, I won't lie to you. A lot of people saw that.
Meanwhile, on offense, Grossman is struggling.
Throw, great read, picked off.
Chicago continues to dial up the pressure on defense, and with Arizona's O-line looking more and more porous, Matt Leinart is finding less and less success throwing the ball. And with Urlacher and the Bears' defense tearing through Arizona's O-line, Green has tried to hang on to the lead by feeding the ball to running back Edgerrin James over and over again.
And Edgerrin James will try to salt the game away.
I think Denny Green went to offensive coordinator Keith Rowan and said, back off, run the ball, drain the clock.
Of course, the decision to feed James the ball repeatedly might have something to do with him complaining to the press about his lack of touches. Did Denny Green, known as a player's coach and a former running back himself, look to give Edge more touches in this game to make up for it? It's hard to say, but it's this repeated play call that the Bears seem to sniff out late in the third. And with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Edge runs into a wall of defenders. And who's that coming to steal the ball? That'd be Mr. Brian Urlacher. And who's that coming to clean up the strip for another touchdown? Why, that'd be Mr. Charles Peanut Tillman. With the Cardinals' lead down to just a touchdown, Denny Green is going to have to switch out of clock chewing mode and tack on some more points. But Urlacher and the Bears D are all over the rookie Leinart, batting down passes and making tackles with suffocating defense, forcing a punt to give the Bears back the ball with what could be the last drive of the game. Now, if you're Denny Green and the Cardinals, this isn't the worst thing in the world. All game long, Grossman has proven to be a complete liability on offense, with a 75% completion rate to the Cardinals players. Bears need a touchdown to win, and if there's one thing they haven't managed to do at all this game, it's score a touchdown on offense. With a solid kick and a relatively easy defensive stand, Cards can ice this game and shock the world. Newspapers tomorrow will be heralding Leinart and the Cards defense. Bill Simmons will probably have 3,000 words on where this ranks on the Mount Rushmore of hype train derailments. But before I go any further, I should probably tell you about the guy who's going to be catching this kick. His name is Devin Hester. Devin Hester was a punt returner and sometimes receiver for the Bears, drafted out of the U specifically for his return abilities, because when this guy turned on the Jets, opposing teams looked like they were standing still. In an era where special teams were mostly a formality of touchbacks and fair catches, Devin Hester was an offensive weapon that had to be accounted for. By the end of this season, teams would stop kicking to Hester entirely, because if you did, there was a decent chance he's taking it to the house. In fact, by the end of the season, the consensus was, you'd have to be an idiot to even try kicking it to Devin Hester.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle, gets past the first one. All the way for a touchdown, and no flag, 92 yards.
What were you thinking?
That was all on me, Shannon.
But tonight, none of that's happened yet. In fact, this game Hester's been kind of quiet. So I guess that's why Cardinals punter Scott Player feels comfortable kicking to him. I'm not so sure how I feel about that in a few seconds.
Hester from the 18. Greening blocks Devin Hester into the open field. And Hester picks up another block. Devin Hester, the punter to beat. He beat him. Devin Hester all the way. Touchdown, Chicago Bears.
And just like that, the Bears have the lead. But the Cardinals still have plenty of time on the clock for a final drive. And Leinert's been pretty dang good tonight, all things considered. He's hitting his receivers, making plays when they ask him, and most importantly, hasn't thrown away the ball 4 times. And all the Cards need here is to get into field goal range to take back the lead and squeak out the win. 3 completions from Leinart later, and they have themselves in position. Don't look now, but Denny Green is pulling this off. The vaunted Bears, who had drawn comparisons to their 85 counterparts, riding a 5-game undefeated win streak coming into the game, have been humbled, and their offense is looking shaky at best and seasoning at worst. And even with all the might of their defense, Chicago is staring down the barrel of their first loss to Denny Green and the Arizona Cardinals of all teams. Green knew this was possible with the right mix of defensive pressure and savvy QB play. And now, in spite of the shaky second half, all it'll take is a 40-yard kick from Neil Rackards to put this game away. In the previous season, Rackards had actually been the most accurate kicker in the league. So as he steps up for this 41-yarder, he should have plenty of leg to get the go-ahead field goal.
Hasn't missed from inside 50 this year.
Hester charges off the edge. The field goal is leaking. It's no good. He
Yeah,
missed it to the
you just
left.
have to say that you're fine, and you're not really fine. You just can't get into it because they leave that runners.
A couple of kneel downs later, and that's game, folks. For all the explosiveness displayed in the first half, as mortal as they had made the Bears look for 45 minutes of football, Green's Cardinals entered the game 1-4, and were leaving it 1-5. Despite all the potential that he had cultivated within his team, Green's Cardinals, in the eyes of many, still sucked. The Bears, also in the eyes of many, were already champions. The Cards' preseason victory, meaningless. The Bears' ongoing season, a formality. But Green still knew in his heart, in his soul, these guys are beatable. And seemingly prompted by a reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times asking about the amazing performance from the Cardinals D, Green wanted the assembled press in that media room to know it too. Welcome to a moment in history. Yeah, hello? Yeah, no, I was getting ready to say it. No, I mean, I know it's your thing. I wouldn't say the videos are all that similar. You just want me to play the clip? All right, fair enough. Okay. Love you too. Bye. All right, here's the clip.
The Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bullshit? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Cardinals media rep Mark Dalton would mercifully interject with,
"Thanks, Coach,"
giving Green the much needed out to leave the podium. So, knowing what we know now, let's ask the question. Is Denny Green unhinged? Nah. He's a football coach who just lost a big game against an even bigger opponent in probably the most embarrassing way possible. Coaches for professional sports are one of the few jobs where shouting at people for minutes on end is generally acceptable behavior. And considering the talent that this team had and how close they came to actually winning, you can feel for Denny here. I mean, he was on year 3 of running an underperforming team, constantly willing himself back into the belief that he's a winner, only to see it slip out of his fingers in a series of flukes and failures that almost seemed preordained. I can't say I'd have managed any better on live television. In the aftermath of this outburst, Green would be fired by the Arizona Cardinals at the conclusion of the season and would never be hired to coach in the NFL again. He did some broadcast TV work, coached in the fledgling UFL, no, not that one, but this one. But to many, it seemed as though the game of football had passed him by. Just a couple of years after the rant, Green could be found in YouTube clips released by his UFL team. Here he is giving his team a speech after a tough loss. Despite being just a few years removed from the Cardinals' job, you can hear how listless, run down, and tired he sounds.
When we did finally get a chance to run the ball, we just didn't get enough points. We scored, okay, but shit, not enough. Not enough.
Not long after this, Green would pass away due to complications from cardiac arrest. I think it's fair to say that decades of stress involved in coaching were a contributing factor. But in the years since the rant, he had decided to embrace the moment, perhaps as a way to take back control of the situation, or maybe just to cash a nice paycheck out of the big pockets of ad agencies. And I say, anyone who can look back and laugh at the times that they've lost their shit can't be all that nutty. And if you want to put a smile on your face sometime, I suggest you read up on all that Green did for his community, his teammates, and his players. Because rants often come from a place of passion, and passion comes from a place of caring. And Denny Green really cared. So maybe, just maybe, he wasn't who you thought he was. I'm Marshall. Thanks for watching.